Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 143 once again. It's Under Review, your favorite sports podcast coming at you live.
Coming at you with episode 151. We have made it 151 consecutive weeks, and we don't plan on slowing down. 151 down, 151 to go, and then some more.
6 more weeks till that 3-year mark. Not that it matters because we're not stopping at 3 years either, but
just something to note.
Yeah. Hey, this is a grind, and you gotta appreciate the milestones, just like we appreciate the milestone of the Cowboys' 5th win this season. Just when you thought we were going away, we are clawing our way back. Just kidding. The season's over.
In air quotes, obviously, it was against the Giants on Thanksgiving Day.
We went home, first home win.
Finally, it took us long enough. It's December now, but it was the very end of November when we finally got a home win. But
yeah,
against the Giants, not a notable opponent who don't have a quarterback right now.
It's a good thing we won. Sad that was only by 7. That should have been the stat of the week, honestly, but it's not. Here's the stat of the week brought to you by Andrews Logistics. The Bills become the first team since 2009 to win their division 5+ games before the season is over. The Bills have already clinched the AFC East and therefore a spot in the playoffs. Not really a surprise. They're 10-2, I think. Yeah, 10-2, and have had a great season. They've won like 5 or 6 in a row, maybe more. I mean, they've been rolling.
They've been really good because I believe they lost back-to-back to the Ravens and the Texans, and then obviously they haven't lost since then, and that was like week 4 or 5 or something like that. But obviously they've been doing good. Josh Allen's been playing well.
He's the MVP front runner actually right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they had a snow game in Buffalo on Sunday.
Cool. It's pretty early.
Pretty electric to watch. Just one of those cool cold games. And to me, I think those are fun to watch. That feels like it would be a really cool environment to play in. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people complaining,
heavy run games,
saying that Buffalo needs to build a dome or something like that. I think games like that are cool because it doesn't happen all the time, but getting one every now and then I think is cool to watch.
Buffalo's home field advantage. Crazy thing though was it was snowing at the stadium. It was not at all snowing in like downtown Buffalo. 2 feet of snow at the stadium just because it's right on the lake. Lake weather. That's their advantage. They call that their home field advantage. So yeah, whatever works for them.
Your player of the week is Jerry Jeudy, who
great week.
His homecoming against the Denver Broncos, and he made it known that he wanted revenge on his old team. 9 catches, 235 yards, and a touchdown. They did not ultimately win the game, as Jameis Winston, famous Jameis, threw 6 total touchdowns, but unfortunately, 2 of them were pick sixes.
He actually almost had 500 passing yards as well.
That's what's crazy is he had a
great game.
You take away those 2 picks. I mean, obviously, you take away any pick six.
But those 2 pick sixes.
I mean, you thought he was going to go for a game-winning drive there at the end. I honestly thought he was going to go.
He had 497. By the way.
I thought he was going to go down there and win the game before he threw the second pick six, and then he threw a pick six, and that ultimately sealed the deal because they went down. They were down by 9, I believe, at that point. And Jameis has been slinging it, but unfortunately, kind of just a loose cannon, throwing a lot of interceptions too.
We still love Jameis here on the show. We always will.
He's just very funny. When you put the mic in front of his face, he's just bound to say something memorable, something that's funny. He prayed that the Lord would deliver him from throwing pick sixes. He's just kind of not a loose cannon when you put him in front of the mic, but he says what he's thinking.
You're always going to get a good
You get a gem out of him.
And he just had a Jameis Winston game where he helped both teams. And that Monday night game was a lot more fun to watch than a lot of people thought it would be, including myself. I thought it was going to be a boring game. Turned out to be one of the more high-scoring ones. But ultimately, the Broncos took the win there. Bo Nix is looking great. Since we're already on it, I just figured we'd talk about it. But Bo Nix looks great. Sean Payton and Bo Nix really meshing well together. Broncos have the 7 seed as of right now in the playoff picture. I wouldn't be shocked if they move up to 6 at some point, depending on how the standings go. But it's looking like they're a playoff team.
The other thing too is a lot of people were pointing out the, Bo Nix is coming along possibly as an offensive rookie of the year candidate. He had a 93-yard dart across the middle. Marvin Mims, weaves it in between multiple defenders, and just a really good passing game from Bo Nix. And he's kind of slowly started developing into the role of a starting quarterback as the season has gone on. It's pretty shaky at first, but he's kind of settled in a little bit. Obviously, a lot of room to grow, a lot of progress to make, but he's making some strides.
I would think he deserves to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, Look, Jaden Daniels started the season off hot, but since then hasn't looked as great.
They've kind of tailed off a little bit. Just the Commanders overall.
Their record against teams over 500 is 0-for. So
yeah, it was kind of a back down to earth moment for Washington. Obviously, they're still doing great. They pick up another win this week, but it was just
against the Titans.
They kind of exceeded. They've started exceeding expectations, and they still are. But I think Jaden Daniels kind of lost his way a little bit, just in the offensive rookie of the year race. He's still playing. Yeah, he's still playing good football, good quarterback. But I think Bo Nix is right now for us the offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah. All right, jumping back a few days to Thanksgiving, we saw a few games. I'm not going to say they were good, but some of them were close. Bears-Lions, that was a tight one. You had a NFC North battle, and simply put, the Lions played not very well in the second half, kind of let the Bears claw their way back. And then at the end, in field goal range, the head coach, Matt Eberflus, does not use a timeout as they're down by 3 to stop the clock, lets it run. Long story short, they lost the game by 3 on that play that he didn't call a timeout on.
Just poor clock management.
Clock.
Caleb Williams gets sacked with like 30 seconds or something, I want to say. And it takes the offense 10 years to get set and get back to the line. And right whenever Caleb Williams got sacked, they should have just spent that last time out. But
throw the ball to the sideline.
No one does anything, and 20 seconds expire, and then they snap the ball with less than 10 seconds. So you're like, well, this is the play of the game right here. So they go for a Hail Mary, don't get it, ultimately lose the game, and then Matt Eberflus would lose his job as the Bears started 4-2 and have lost, is it 6 straight?
Something like that.
I believe so, yeah.
Get the first draft pick, get Caleb Williams. They're high on Caleb Williams. He's going to be the life of the party. They go on Hard Knocks, and then they're 4-8. 4-8.
Yeah, so it was 4-2, and then they lost 6 straight. Fired Matt Eberflus. I think that was long overdue. It was just he was clearly not the guy. Some poor coaching decisions. Obviously, that was the epitome of it right there. It literally cost them the game because they played horribly in the first half and got absolutely obliterated, and then came back and they shot themselves in the foot on the last play of the game when they could have tied it, and who knows, won a coin toss, drove down, scored, won the game on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, that would have been, crazy to watch, but a poor coaching error at the end of that game ultimately cost them, the win there in Detroit.
Giants, Cowboys, not a whole lot to say here. We won a game we were supposed to win. Giants look awful, so do we. Something that I think we need to note for the Cowboys is there have now been talks from Dak and from Jerry, 2 people whom on the show we love right now, of how Mike McCarthy might deserve another contract.
And for those of you that are new here, that was a sarcastic statement of saying those are people we love. Not that we don't like them, but they don't do the right things.
Is definitely out on my list. Dak still could be all right. But Mike McCarthy, the Mike McCarthy era in Dallas has seen, I think, the best that we're going to see out of it.
Obviously, we got those three 12-5 seasons in a row, but the first 12-5 season got booted first round of the playoffs. Second 12-5 season beat a battered and old Tampa Bay Bucks team, then got booted in the second round by the same team who beat us before. And then the third 12-5 season, which would have been last year, was when we got absolutely embarrassed at home in the first round by the 7 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. Look, just because Jerry Jones doesn't want to admit that he's wrong is not a good reason to not let Mike McCarthy walk at the end of the season. Okay, Jerry's got to eat his pride, be like, I made a bad coaching decision by hiring this guy, which I think he did, which we said that when he was hired. And he needs to go out, find a good head coach and some good coordinators. And honestly, I'm going to say this. Maybe look for some young talent every once in a while. Let's stop hiring the guys that have been around for a long time, because these guys think they know it and they will not change and adapt and evolve to the new style of play in the NFL, is what I think is a problem with Mike Zimmer and Mike McCarthy.
What's frustrating to me is that making all these changes long term, I don't think solves the problem. Short term, we'll see results, but long term, I think it has to come with Jerry. Which is not going to happen. You know, he needs to hire a GM or do something, or just
sell the team.
Like I said, sell the team. But obviously, there's no way either of those things are going to happen. So yes, we can go out, get a whole new offensive scheme via an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, new head coach. But ultimately, we need a better decision maker at the very tippy top, because I don't think any of those things are going to happen. They're already talking about re-signing Mike McCarthy, and I don't think
sounds like the easiest step right now after the season's over.
I was about to say, with what we've seen, I feel like he should be the first one to go.
Yeah, and Zimmer, both of them. And I don't think you need to give either one of them another chance.
It was the thing with Zimmer was, I get that he was a crucial part of the team when we won the Super Bowl, or when we were a dominant franchise in the 90s, but that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we can appreciate that.
Jerry has been stuck in the 90s with his team.
I was going to say, we can appreciate that, but it's been 30 years, okay? I don't think Mike Zimmer has it anymore.
I'm going to say no. We're going to move on, but we'll definitely, throughout this season, as things play out, have some more opinions on this matter. Not much to say about this game. Packers smoked the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. The Dolphins and Mike McDaniel are now 0-5 in their last 5 games below 40 degrees. That's a big topic right now when it comes to the Dolphins. They just can't win in the cold games. They did not look good against the Packers, and the Packers look great playing at home in Lambeau. There is a home field advantage to that, just like we talked about with Buffalo. Teams that are used to playing in that weather, more than teams like Miami, who are used to playing in just sunny weather.
72 degrees. Josh Jacobs has been thriving as of recent. He started off somewhat slow during the season, but now he's kind of hitting his strides and been ridiculous for his offense. The Packers, it's a tight race in the NFC North, as you have the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers, who are both winning tons of games. I want to say the Packers moved to 9-3, and so they're third in the division, sitting at 9-3. But nothing is for sure as of right now. Still got a lot of games left to play, as the Packers will face the Lions next week. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Raiders Chiefs. This game, we don't even really have to talk about the game itself as much as the Raiders really had it in hand, driving down the field at the very end, down by 2. They were in field goal range. Was it third down? They were at like the 30.
I think it was second down.
Second down at the 30, and Aiden O'Connell, some miscommunication at the line, snap happens, fumble, Chiefs get it. I mean, the game was over at that point, to where they could kick the field goal and win it, and they were just going to run the clock out and do it.
They just it looked like they maybe wanted one more play to the sideline to get, 5-6 more yards, but they just took too long to get back to the line of scrimmage after the previous play. And so, by the time they're set, there's 6-7 seconds on the play clock. And so what it looks like happened was Aiden O'Connell was kind of looking to his receivers, making sure everyone's set. And as he's looking to the side, center snaps the ball. It bounces off Aiden O'Connell's chest, and then the Chiefs recover and then kneel the clock out to win the game.
Chiefs get another win. They are now, I want to say, 11-1. They are 11-1, and still a sloppy 11-1, but they're still 11-1. We don't really need to say much there, but the Chiefs have got some things to figure out for sure. But they're still winning games, so they'll take it. Steelers roll the Bengals 44-38. Just another classic Cincinnati game this season where the defense lets the opposing offense look like they can definitely win the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are left to try to play catch up. And this is yet another game where the Bengals score over 30 and still lose.
I was going to say the Bengals offense has not had a lot of issues this season. Where we have seen the issues is their defense. Obviously, they gave up 44 points, so you can't expect to win very many games when you do that. Ridiculous that the Bengals were even in it. But Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, people are starting to question if their talent's getting wasted in Cincinnati. I mean, other than that one year they went to the Super Bowl, they have struggled. And, this season they started off really slow. We thought here recently they might maybe claw back and sneak in as a wild card team, but I just don't think that's a possibility anymore. This just about, puts the final nail in the coffin. But
they will.
I like seeing
next week.
On Monday Night Football, yes. I like seeing Cincinnati when they were good. I like seeing Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I think that's a cool city to see succeed, and obviously that's they haven't been good in our lifetime other than the one year they went to the Super Bowl, and so that's a cool duo. Like to see that. Colts Patriots, that was another big one as Anthony Richardson picks up a win in crunch time. They go to New England. I think the Colts they're fighting for a wild card spot, but I don't think they're going to last.
They kind of blew their chance.
Anthony Richardson playing super duper sloppy, but I think, this is what you need to do if you're Indianapolis is just force him to play the rest of the season,
Get the reps.
Shane Steichen with the call of the century, not really, just kidding, but goes for 2 at the end of the game. Colts drive down and score a touchdown when they needed one. They could have kicked the extra point to tie the game, but then they decided to go for 2, put it on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson, and he runs in and goes for 2 and gets it. I personally like when teams do that just because, rather than risking losing a coin toss for overtime, you get one play to get 2 yards.
It's kind of
it makes sense.
You make it. You look like the smartest guy in the world. You go for it and miss it. You look like an idiot. So Steichen came out looking good on that one. The Chargers-Falcons. Kirk Cousins throws 4 interceptions. A lot of people are screaming that it's time to bring in Michael Penix.
I believe I saw a stat somewhere where Kirk Cousins 2-0 against the Buccaneers, 4-6 versus everyone else, and he's thrown like 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I believe, in the games that he. No, it's not 12, but not 12 touchdowns, but he's got ridiculous stats against the Buccaneers, but everyone else he has been struggling. I'm not sure what
you're paying Kirk for a reason. You got to keep him in.
I think Michael Penix is. I think he was talented in college. Who knows if that'll translate.
It's a tough spot to put him in now.
He's kind of injury prone, so I think that might be something to look out for.
Yeah. But
man, it was so cool to see Kirk Cousins succeeding for that short little span that he was. But it's kind of back down to earth for the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is just so old. And I'm not sure. I think his best days are definitely behind him. We thought he was kind of getting revamped here in Atlanta, but the success is not lasting. It's just not very consistent.
He's making bad decisions, but maybe give him a couple more games, and if things change, because the Bucs are right on their tail, maybe bring in Penix. Texans beat the Jags in a divisional game by 3. This is more about the Texans just looking sloppy right now. Stroud does not look as good as he did last year. Might be having a little bit of a sophomore slump. The Jaguars are not very good. They should be they should be winning by more than 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, big story there was Trevor Lawrence getting a concussion there in the middle of the game and Mac Jones having to come finish the game. Not really much to say. I mean, the Jags weren't doing anything before then, so obviously losing your quarterback stinks, but the Jags were not in a position where they were going to do anything. So, but
Texans got to figure
Mac Jones kind of came in and was a little dirty there for the end. I can't even lie. Yeah. Put the Jags back into it, but obviously the Texans ended up winning the game by 3, so not much to say there.
Not much to say. Cardinals-Vikings game. Vikings get their 5th straight win, and that NFC West is still just kind of floating around. Seahawks maintain first for this week, with the Cardinals falling behind, the Niners falling behind.
The Rams won this week.
It might be between Seattle and LA now.
Obviously, it's coming down to the wire as, we're used to seeing San Francisco run away with that division, and this is usually the point of the season where they have done that, but a lot of people are saying that the 49ers championship window is closed. I don't know how I feel about that, but they battled injuries with literally every single one of their star players got hurt at some point, and it's looking like Christian McCaffrey is probably done for the rest of the season with a PCL injury that he maintained on Sunday night. So that kind of stinks. They just got him back, but fantasy owners are mad. I know that because they drafted him high.
It's been an off year for the Niners for sure. Brock Purdy's not looking that good. They got a lot to figure out, but I don't think this won't be their year. But I don't know if their championship window is over. We will see next year when they get all their guys back fully healthy. All right, last notable game: Eagles-Ravens. People were saying that's the game of the week. And, of course, the Ravens beat everybody until they play the team we actually would like them to beat. Not that we need them to beat them. The Cowboys aren't doing anything this year, but obviously you always want to see the Eagles lose. And, of course, the Ravens make the Eagles look really good, even though we know that they're not.
That they're all show.
Barkley is very good. And he put on another clinic in the second half against Baltimore. And ultimately, the Ravens fall. Lamar Jackson was not very happy at the end of the game.
No, he was not. He was not a happy camper. Eagles go into Baltimore, win a big game. Defense comes in and does a solid job, holds the Ravens at 19, and then the offense scores 24, just enough to win the game. Obviously, kind of frustrating just because...
The reason they lost, though.
Well, I was going to say, it's just frustrating to see because, especially when you see a guy like Saquon Barkley, who the Cowboys could have had, and then you see a guy like Derrick Henry, who the Cowboys also could have had. Facing off in that scenario, it's just really frustrating because you look at who we're stuck with. Not that would have solved everything this year because we just got so many issues, but who knows? Maybe we'd have been looking a little bit better.
That's priority number one. As something we need to get in the offseason since we're not going to get a quarterback.
That's okay. We'll draft Ashton Ginty.
Well, we're winning now when we don't need to win, so our draft pick's going to be awful. That's neither here nor there. The big story here, Justin Tucker misses 2 field goals. He has not been good this season, and they lost by 5 points. Do the math, 2 field goals equals 6 points. It could have been 25-24 Baltimore win.
He's missed a few extra points this year, too.
Yes. Oh, he missed an extra point. Actually, in this game as well.
He has been lights out for his entire tenure in the NFL. And all of a sudden this year, I don't know what happened. He just started missing kicks. And honestly, recently, it's gotten a lot worse. Like this
has been bad.
I think this game, obviously, think is probably the worst it's been this entire season, but recently he just has lost it. He was the most accurate kicker in NFL history and just been, I think, a lot of people's pick as the GOAT for a kicker, and just not looking good. He's been a sure, for in recent years, it's like you get 60 yards, maybe, you're a lock for 3 points if you can get within 60 yards. And now it's like, well, he's missing extra points, so now you don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely probably partly mental, but it's tough to see Justin Tucker like this, especially against a team we wanted him to beat. I normally don't root for the Ravens. That was one of the only times I will, and I kind of don't like him even more now that they blew this game when they looked so good against everybody else this season. So this is kind of how rooting against the Eagles is. But interesting week in football, and as the playoffs draw near, it will be interesting throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, watch out for the NFC North. That's going to heat up. I think the NFC South is going to start heating up as well, just because the Falcons had a death grip on the lead there, but they've been losing a ton of games recently, so who knows there.
Basically,
NFC West.
The only thing they have right now in the Bucs is like their half game.
Yeah, is the tiebreaker because they swept them over the season. NFC West, that's going to heat up as well. AFC South, I'd say that's just about done.
Yeah, because the Texans have the 2-0 against the Colts.
AFC's
been decided.
Yeah, obviously.
The North will be close, as I think the Ravens are like a game and a half back from the Steelers, and they still have to play another time.
Obviously, AFC East is decided, as we spoke
earlier.
earlier.
West will be decided soon with the Chiefs.
But obviously, there's still
decided. NFC will be exciting.
6 weeks left of football, so there's tons of things that could change and happen. You never know.
5 weeks left of football.
Yep.
Yeah, so it'll be pretty intense.
Doesn't matter. 5 games still can a lot change.
Yeah, Cowboys going up.
Absolutely.
Snag that 7 seed. Cooper Rush could be nasty in the playoffs.
I don't know. Who knows? That Central Michigan blood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what I like in our shows and honor to go back to you a quote from the Joe Namath. And he said, "Football is an honest game. It's true to life. It's a game about sharing. Football is a team game, and everyone has to work together."
Don't they always? We appreciate y'all tuning in this week. We will see you next week with our college football playoff preview. Because there's a legit playoff this year. Legit in quotation marks. Because we don't necessarily agree with it.
So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah. We'll see you next week for another episode of Under Review.